The topics we will be covering in this presentation include the definition of human sex trafficking, health determinants, risk factors, diseases and conditions caused from being a victim, and why this issue is important. To begin, what is human sex trafficking? According to the United Nations, human sex trafficking is the recruitment, transportation, transfer, harboring, or receipt of persons by improper means, such as forced abduction, fraud, or coercion, for an improper purpose including forced labor or sexual exploitation.
In the next section, we will be talking about the health determinants. The health determinants include poverty and lack of education. Poverty plays a big role when it comes to human sex trafficking. Because of domestic violence and unhealthy relationships, some teenagers and children run away from home in hopes of seeking a better life. Since these people are vulnerable, perpetrators target them and convince them with false benefits. Lack of education is another key factor that contributes to human sex trafficking. Perpetrators also target people who do not have access to education and are therefore easier to persuade. The risk factors of human sex trafficking include but are not limited to child neglect, sexual violence, intimate partner violence, and gang violence. Everyone is impacted from human sex trafficking, but it doesn't matter your gender, ethnicity, or sexual orientation. Even though women and girls are the majority of victims, men and boys are also victims. Human trafficking also impacts society by spreading dangerous diseases such as HIV and AIDS and other STDs throughout communities. If these are left untreated, it will cause major damage to someone's reproductive system, which will be discussed in the upcoming slides.
Sexually transmitted diseases and infections, unwanted pregnancy, and substance abuse are all diseases and conditions related to this issue.
Some victims do have access to protection, like if they're in a brothel but cannot enforce usage or other safe sex practices with their partner. Other victims are forced into sex with multiple partners who may have had sex with other people, creating a hotbed for HIV/AIDS. Sex trafficking abortions are unsafe and are often not performed by a doctor, leading to infection or mutilation of the genitals. Some victims are still forced to have intercourse while pregnant, and victims do not have access to birth control. Illegal drugs, such as cocaine or heroin, are used to bait people into trafficking situations, and it is estimated that 40 to 85% of prostitutes are drug users.
One of the most critical questions to be discussed around the globe is why is the issue with human sex trafficking so important? We must first examine human sex trafficking as an industry. Human sex trafficking is the second fastest growing criminal activity around the world, behind illegal drugs and arms trafficking. Among the $32 billion generated yearly, $15.5 billion are made in industrialized countries. 600 to 800,000 people are sex trafficked across international borders every year, of which 80% are female and half are children. Many people around the globe consider human sex trafficking to be a form of modern-day slavery. Victims are often kept in captivity and are held under a form of debt bondage enforced by their perpetrator. People around the globe who are human sex trafficked are used for commercial purposes and can be forced into rape, pornography, and more. Conditions fostered under this worldwide issue are so bad that victims can be forced to have sex as many as 30 times a day. Being one of the most prevalent worldwide issues, human sex trafficking occurs in every country. China is among the worst human sex trafficking offenders. China fosters human sex trafficking of men, women, and children. These victims are not only forced into sexual acts, but are pushed into a vicious cycle of forced labor, bondage, and domestic servitude as well. All of their documents, including their passport, are taken away from them. In China, about 3.4 billion people are living in modern-day slavery, with 58 million children left behind and uncared for. Among these children, 70,000 children are trafficked each year. In order to help combat human sex trafficking, we can implement a variety of intervention strategies. One of the most important strategies includes policy developments. Since many cases of human sex trafficking begin in places such as unlicensed massage parlors or through offers of work opportunity, businesses should be required to obtain licenses to prevent this issue. Another important aspect is the promoting of awareness and education. A vast majority of human sex trafficked victims are lured in at a young age. By promoting knowledge on what it means to be a sex trafficker and to be sex trafficked, we can tackle these high rates. Along with the implementation of education, warning signs can be taught to the general public. These populations should be provided with hotline numbers to call in an event of suspicious activity.